Welcome to Hill House Farm. Here we are at the HQ of Jamie's Farm, where it all began in 2010, our first farm of 5. I just wanted to talk you through today and show you some of the elements of what we do from a farming perspective. We are a true mixed farm, so we have cattle, sheep, pigs, poultry, horses, all here at the farm in Bath, and we have those across our farms across the country. That's really important so that the kids can get involved in all different elements of livestock production, seeing them close at hand. You can see here we have some well, they're actually 200-year-old pigsties. You can see the little piggies here in the sun enjoying themselves right close by to where the kids' accommodation is, so the children all stay in this house here. Next door we've got some of our pedigree Aberdeen Angus cattle. They're just about to give birth, so these guys start calving in the next week or so, again right nearby the children, so that throughout the spring as these cattle give birth, the children will be able to come and see that process. I mentioned chickens. We've got a few chickens out here in the yard, and we're just starting to breed various pedigree poultry at this farm, and doing the same across the other farms. Next, I'm going to hand over to our farm managers around the country, who are going to tell you a bit about the 4 elements of what really contribute and what's thought about when making any farming decision at Jamie's Farm.
I think that throughout the year it's very important to think about the safety first of all of the tasks, how interesting they are and the importance of them as well, and making sure that the young people understand the importance of these jobs that need to be done. And I think through giving them that idea of what we're doing and why we're doing it, it brings them into the farm and it engages them, it encourages them to do things that they've never done before, and also it shows them a way of life that they might not have seen. So behind us, as you can see, we've got our sheep that are lambing. These are the last few, but we've had a fantastic amount of young people that have come in and managed to lamb and get involved and be directly seeing how life on the farm works and life of lambing works.
High animal welfare is crucial in all the decisions that we make at Jamie's Farm. When the young people come to visit, they can see that these animals are cared for and well looked after, which allows them to feel that they can be looked after and cared for too. This is part of our culture of care. We can show kindness to animals by feeding them before we feed ourselves, and when they are indoors, they have warm, spacious pens to live in. This allows our animals to live happy lives, and something that we are really proud of at Jamie's Farm.
At Jamie's Farm, we really like to farm with environment at the top of our priority list really. We want to be working with nature, working with the environment, making improvements to our soils and our ecology really, planting lots of hedges as we do on lots of our farms, lots of trees, really trying to improve it whilst using fewer inputs as possible, really to create a long-term sustainable view that doesn't cost us a huge amount of money in inputs, but is also improving the world for a brighter future.
Hi, I'm Doug and this is my son Jamie. Together we manage the farm in Bath.
One of the things we consider with every decision we make at the farm is the economics. It is really important that the farm is profitable and is self-sustaining and could actually give back to the charity instead of rely on the charity. One of the ways we do this is by ensuring we have really good pastures who support our animals so they're not completely dependent on bought-in food to keep our costs lower. And another way we do this is by keeping an eye on all of the prices elsewhere, so we can get the best price for our meat and other produce.
Thank you so much to all our farmers for contributing today. It's great to see our staff and hear their thoughts on the way that we're farming now at Jamie's Farm. I wanted to first of all say thanks to those guys, but also tell you a bit about the history of agriculture with the charity. we've been around now for almost 12 years. And in the early days, I think we were farming in the way that most people probably were farming, in that we were kind of fighting against nature along the way. We were fighting with the animals, if you like. We were fighting with nature. We were trying to produce as much as possible, and we were using huge inputs. Not particularly on fertilizer and pesticides, but we were having to spray our pastures, and we were buying huge amounts of bought-in food that often included a very large proportion of soya. And every year, whatever we did, we were struggling to make the farms break even. So in the last few years, we started to be a little bit more thoughtful about the way we're farming, and we're trying to think carefully about learning from other regenerative farms and improving our practices so that we can essentially create a more sustainable model for the charity from a financial perspective, but also work with nature and educate the children that visit about that and the benefits of farming in a regenerative way. The first thing that we've done in the last few years is we started to use herbal leys, and we planted herbal leys at 3 out of our 4 farms, and we're increasing the proportion of our pasture that is herbal ley. I'm standing here in a field which has been reseeded 2 years ago with a mixture of herbs, legumes and a variety of deep-rooted grasses. These pastures are fantastic because they are amazing for pollinators. So if you come in this field in about 2 months, it will be swarming with bees, and there'll be beautiful flowers that those bees will be benefiting from. The pastures are also very high in protein, so the animals thrive when they're eating the silage and the grass, and they require a lot less bought-in protein. The plants within them are legumes and therefore produce their own nitrogen, and so we use a lot less fertilizer. In fact, we haven't used any fertilizer at all in the past couple of years. Their deep-rooted nature also means that they're drought resistant. So on the drier years, we're still yielding the same amount of grass as we would on a wetter year. And these have really revolutionized and improved our farming, as I say, across 3 out of the 4 farms so far. The other thing that you can see in this field is the field boundaries. So there's a copse up there and there's a hedgerow down here. We've been improving our hedgerows, planting new hedgerows, fencing our hedgerows to protect them from the livestock. And those act as wildlife corridors and do a great job of providing habitats for birds, bees, and a whole range of different species. So our farms tend to be teeming now with wildlife in a way that they weren't initially. The other thing that we've been doing, and something that I'm very passionate about, is improving the genetics of our livestock. So we have pedigree Aberdeen Angus cattle, we have pedigree low-line cattle, and we're looking particularly at their genetic potential to achieve improved growth on less food because of their genetic potential. So behind me are some Clin sheep, often crossed with Texel sheep. We breed both of those breeds pure, and we only buy rams with high genetic potential, because now it is possible to look at the figures that come with your livestock and understand how they will perform within your system. All of this is contributing to us farming in a more sustainable way, where we're sequestering more carbon, our pastures are taking more out of the atmosphere, we're growing more grass, and we're hopefully helping to create a more sustainable way of producing livestock and ultimately quality meat to supply to the local communities that can be sold at a reasonable price to contribute back and help develop and sustain the charity. All of this is really about a long-term view of how we should treat our planet and how children should come and engage and learn about nature and hopefully create sustainable and bright futures for themselves as a result.